So today I'm speaking with Ashleigh Renard. It's not Renault, guys. It's like a whole thing. I thought her last name, I was making it French. She just let me know that Renard is actually French for fox, which is like, that's kind of cool. Like fox.
It
like
is.
I'm a fox. Yeah.
Yeah, you can call me Foxy if you want
Okay.
to, Renee.
You know what?
Just like, I mean, you know, if
Yeah.
you feel called.
Usually I can't pronounce people's name. And then I start the episode, I press record and I'm like, okay, today I'm speaking with, and I'm like, fuck, I don't even know how to say their name.
Well, you just took it to the next level with mine. You made it very fancy.
I know.
And I just say it in the most English way possible.
Renard. And I'm like, oh, today I'm speaking with Ashleigh Renard. Like, yeah. And that's what happens when you're from Sudbury, Ontario. Just so you know. But okay, I'm so excited for this conversation. I told some of my friends who I was speaking to today and like the topics that we're going to cover, and they were like, oh my God, I cannot wait. So this is going to be a good one. To start, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your family?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I grew up in Manitoba, born in Calgary, but we moved back to my parents' hometown in Manitoba when I was 3. And then I went to University of Manitoba in Winnipeg. So until I was 21, Manitoba all the way through, right? Even my company is called Manitoba Woman Media. Okay. Then I took a job in New Jersey right out of university, met my husband. We were ready to be grown-ups right off the bat. I honestly think I pledged to be a grown-up when I was still in the womb. It was like some sort of cosmic promise to never be a bother. You know, even though I was going to be born an infant, I was like, that is a detail I can deal with. I will be self-sufficient from day one. So by the time I was 7, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And part of this was I grew up in figure skating. So that just strengthened the whole, I shall push myself, I shall get it done myself. You know, this like radical self-sufficiency, which is like cool if you're going to live off the grid, you know, as an adult. But when you're 7, it's like a little much, right?
Yeah.
So, but I took that quest for the highest level of difficulty and perfectionism and doing it all mentality into marriage and motherhood. And that's where my book Swing comes into this. I found my breaking point. Like I hit that threshold of doing it all when we entered non-monogamy. Like honestly, Renee, I was home birthing, homeschooling on purpose. This is before pandemic. My toddlers were growing their own vegetables. I had decorated like every cake on Pinterest. Like I was done Pinterest. And I was like, okay, what's the next thing? And also working full time, running my business. What's the next thing that I could just like add to my plate? Because I'm sure a lot of your listeners know this compulsive feeling. When we feel like we're not doing enough or that we aren't enough, we look outside of ourselves to try to fill in the gaps, to try to get that next gold star, to try to get that number of podcast downloads or followers on Instagram or get the promotion, make, 6 figures in this period of time. All of these things outside of us, right? And sometimes we do it with micromanaging our children. Sometimes we do it by focusing with so much attention on our spouse, wishing they would be different and finally get it together so we can feel fulfilled. And I did all of those things and more.
It's crazy. The thing about like the number of podcast downloads or like trying to get more followers, trying to do this, so many people relate to that feeling of like you're constantly trying to get more. And I remember listening to a podcast episode with Shawn Mendes, like one of the biggest stars in the world, like biggest.
I love him. Sometimes I put his songs on repeat, and it really turns me on too.
Okay,
there's something
voice of an angel, and so he was talking about how even he has that. Like he's constantly like worried about like putting out a song, like what are the numbers, like what are the this and that, like comparing himself. He had to do like a collab with Justin Bieber, and he was like just felt so not confident and like comparing himself to Bieber, and I'm just like, oh my God, it never ends.
And truly, it never ends.
Yes.
And this is something I used to teach my athletes. So I coach synchronized skating, which your Canadian audience will probably know about.
I used to do that, by the way.
Oh my God, who did you skate for?
Renee? I don't know. I was in Sudbury. As soon as they wanted me, I was like a pretty good skater. I'm really tall and like whatever. And then as soon as they wanted me to go solo and do like solo skates, I was like, I quit. But I was really young. But I used to do the synchronized like.
Okay, well, amazing. You know.
Yeah.
For some reason, I moved to the United States and started my synchro organization. So basically, I spent a decade and a half recruiting for a sport people didn't know existed. Okay.
Yeah.
But in that, I used to tell my athletes, like, listen, every goal we have is actually an imaginary finish line. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a thing. It's like a carrot we can dangle in front of ourselves to try to expand into better versions of ourselves. And by better, I mean like versions of ourselves who understand us more, like more aware, not like, oh, I'm going to carve myself into this perfect person. It's like, I'm going to find out, I'm going to mine for all the gifts that are already inside me. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when we're digging and we figure out, oh, I'm strong at this. Oh, I can really carry the team during these kinds of stressful situations because I can handle that. That's a strength of mine. When you are doing that and you're looking at these outward goals as a way to learn more about yourself, then you can actually feel more and more and more satisfied. But I missed the memo on that completely for so long, relating to my personal growth, right? Like I would tell my athletes, listen, whether we get to nationals or not, we're still going to feel the same way about ourselves, like about 72 hours later. Like it doesn't last, you know, the highs don't last and the lows don't last. And one of the ways to be less afflicted by the lows is to take an easy come, easy go attitude with the wins. So, and that is one of the harder parts because we desperately are craving something that we can just hang our hat on and say, oh, no, I know I'm worthy. I know I'm good. I know I'm worthy. I deserve love. I know that I can treat myself with care on a daily basis. And it's not frivolous. It's not unwarranted. It's not that, you know, I'm going to slide into some slothhood if I'm nice to myself, right?
Yeah.
And so many of us, and men and women do this in different ways. And I think it's more related to our personalities than our gender specifically. You know, our personalities. And when my therapist told me this, my head almost exploded. Like I was like that head exploding emoji. She said to me, but listen, Ashleigh, the rules that you followed for your parents, only you followed them. Your siblings didn't follow them. And I was like, oh, Jackie, blasphemy. No, the rules were the rules. And she was like, yeah, that's what you think. That's what all of us think, right? There are a few of those like sly kids who are like, wait a minute. Everybody's getting a different deal here, right? I was one of those kids who was like, I will do it right. I will do it right. Was I righter than right today? And I didn't even notice that it was like sort of this arbitrary conditioning that I had, you know, assimilated around myself. Mm-hmm. I think my parents probably dangled one carrot one time and then I just kept dangling them myself and they were like, look at her go. I'm not really sure what she's doing. But we all internalize this way that we think the world is or we think our families are. And this isn't gaslighting. This is just like we all have a different filter and a different way of looking at everything. And we grow up and we assume that everybody sees things the way we do, right? Mostly because I think a lot of adults around us are sort of on autopilot. So they never ask us like, what did you think of that? How did you see that? This is what I ask my kids every single time we do something new. I ask them, was it like you expected it to be or different? Tell me, why was it different? And they always say different.
Yeah.
But just to dig into the different ways that everybody interpreted the same experience that we had, right? And highlighting the differences. This is something that I did with my athletes too. We did synchronized skating. But the way for us to be strong as a team was to really understand how we were different. The way we could look exactly the same was to understand how we were fundamentally unique, how we had different strengths, different ways of coming towards even the same choreography so that we could help each other out, right? The ultimate job on the ice, was to help your teammate feel good and look good, right? You couldn't even like look better than them. It was synchronized. Yeah. So now that like, you know, shifting away from ego and just saying, what is the best thing overall here for the team? This is what I'm helping people find out for themselves, because I don't have the answers for anybody else's team or family or marriage. I'm helping them figure this out in their own homes with their spouse and with their kids, right? I say I'm like the cooperation whisperer. I had like over 20,000 hours of trying to teach teenage girls how to get along with each other. So, and ice time's expensive. I would be like, all right, we got to fight here. Okay, you tell me your story. You tell me your story. All right. I hate to break it to you, but you're actually agreeing on all these points. Okay, common ground, common ground. Look at this. And they're like, oh, there's no bad guy. We actually want the same thing. I was like, yeah, let's get to work. 5, 6, 7, 8.
It's interesting because like a family literally is a team. Like you should be looking at it as a team. And like what is best for the team next door is not going to be best for my team here. Like that's exactly, I love how it's like comparing like a team, like a sports team to a family.
Right. Okay. And in sports, we have the goal of incredible performance, right? Incredible performance. That is the goal. And the ways that different coaches, even in the same sport, like if you look at basketball coaches or you look at football coaches or hockey coaches, right? And I'm just talking about like the most basic game-like team sports, right? Because we see the strategy play out several times a week in some cases. Every one of those coaches has a different flavor, right? And you know, like when personnel will shift in an organization, there'll be like a shakeup, but then the athletes are like, yeah, we need to follow like this coach's strategy because there are so many different ways to do it. So many different ways, right? Like Belichick and Phil Jackson, different sports, but so different mentalities, okay? Different mentalities. But it's incredible performance is what we're looking for, okay? In business, we are looking for how can we be as efficient as possible? How can we be efficient in our messaging to our customers? How can we lay out as little capital as possible, like as little cash to try to launch this new project or this new product and get it out to people? How can we make money and create happy customers with as little like output as far as labor, money as possible? Okay. And then we go into marriage and families, right? And the people who are partners, right, the spouses, quite often go in thinking marriage is about compromise. Marriage is about give and take. Can't always get what you want. Okay. And there's this patriarchal, archaic idea, and it came from when marriage was really a business arrangement, right? Mm-hmm. Or it was the only way women could have any assets, right? It was the only way they could live in a house that didn't belong to their father, all right? And it's the only way a man could have heirs, right? Babies, offspring. Yeah. So the idea around marriage and the teachings around marriage until this point in history have been like, okay, men and women are going to be coming into marriages with different agendas. And like men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So like just know you're going to be wanting different things from each other. And here's how, you know, and this is the old playbook is like, oh yeah, men are going to want sex more often than women. So you're not going to want it as much as him, but here's how you can like make it a little more fun for you. Okay. We are already setting the bar so fucking low. Yeah. So low. Like, why would you ever get married if it's like, oh yeah, we're coming in with opposing motivations for this and we're going to just like make it work well enough? What if we looked at marriage like we looked at an incredible business partnership or an incredible sports partnership? And we said, hey, you're really tall and fast and I'm strong. If we were out like on the court of the field together, Renee, we wouldn't say, okay, do we want to use your strengths today or should I shine? No, we would go, let's dominate this game. Let's dominate life because we are both strong in different areas. Thank fucking God. Yeah. We are not the same. Yes. Thank God we are not the same. But then we look at our partner and we're like, they are so annoying. They do all of these things differently than me and they would do things differently with the kids. And instead of looking at it as an opportunity for, oh, wow, that's really easy for you. Or, I see that you are very strong in that area. Maybe this is like a little misdirected. How about we use that when you're talking to the landlord or the banker instead of the 9-year-old, you know, whatever it is. But really seeing in people what their strengths are. So first of all, allowing for you to be different, because we're all so incredibly different, but we're not so incredibly different because of our genitalia. We're so incredibly uniquely lovable and annoying in our own ways because we're different humans, right? Like a snowflake, like a fingerprint, we are unique. And thinking someone should see something like in the way that you do, I understand why people want this. It feels safer. It feels safer if we can, and it feels safer if we think we can anticipate how someone else is going to react to a situation. But what happens over and over and over is we have this idea of how we would like them to react. And so anything that's different than that, we're just like, X, no, it doesn't match. It doesn't match. Instead of looking at like, but there was that unique surprise and that unique, and oh my God, I never saw that in my husband before. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what I have been offering to couples is, so when I wrote Swing, which is the story of taking it all to the next level as the world's worst attempted swinger. Okay. I made this video called How to Keep Monogamy Hot, Part 1. I didn't even know what part 2 was going to be, Renee. It was like 2 years ago, last September, right when Instagram rolled out Reels. And I have a friend of mine, very good friend, who's also a psychic, which is hella convenient that you know, your friends are like tapped into your future. And she said, listen, about 6 months ago, you gave that sex advice on your stories, you know, expired as stories do. She goes, I've been telling everybody about that. I wish you put it on YouTube so I could share it with friends. Renee, this was the revolutionary advice.
Wait, was this video posted pre or post swinging adventures?
Post. Okay. We had swung, we had came, saw, swung it out, or attempted to, crashed and burned, rebuilt. First of all, my relationship with myself, that's what had to be renegotiated. Then our marriage, then our family started changing, then pandemic hit. Okay. And I'd already retired from coaching skating so I could write the book. Cause I was like, I don't think I can be working with little kids every day and also writing a book about sex clubs. It just doesn't feel like a match. Mostly because I never wanted a skating parent to go, Ashleigh, that thing you posted on Instagram or Facebook. No, I don't. I was like, okay, I want you out of my business now so I can like just share my business with the world. Yeah. And, you know, not have like, I don't know if, you know, that my kids saw your post and how do I explain it? I was like, I can't do that.
Can I ask what the initial, like, where were you at in your marriage, in your life, when the topic of potentially swinging even came up? Like, how did that even come about? Because I think a lot of people will listen to this and be like, how does that even happen? You know?
It's so interesting. It happened when we first started dating. When we first started dating, we were like, yeah, I'm not really jealous. Yeah, I'm not really jealous. And like, you know, you're sort of like planting a seed there. When you're telling your committed monogamous partner, yeah, not so jealous. It's like, okay. And then this conversation just kept going through the years, like, oh, it might be hot to be like in a different kind of atmosphere where other people are getting up. Maybe if you kissed someone, if I kissed someone in front of you, would you be mad? No. Would you? No. It was like this kind of thing,
like
right?
Planting the seed and then like, yeah.
Exactly. Then revisiting it like 3 or 4 months or a year later. Okay. And so we were married for 10 years, had 3 kids. My littlest was still nursing. He was like 2.5, still nursing during the day. I nursed him till he was 3. Okay. It's 2.5. And he's finally old enough to go for sleepovers at the grandparents with the older 2. And I think it was my husband, Manny, who brought it up. He was like, oh, this would be a time like to check out clubs, right? And this was like 7.5 years ago, 8 years ago. So like Googling like swing, sex club, Philadelphia, boom, like it comes right up, right? So we started going to these clubs.
Okay, and what happened? Like, can you walk us through like your first?
I will walk you through it. First, you have to sign up for a membership, okay? And it's like something like $95 for the year. And then every time you want to go, it's like approximately like $60 to $90 for a ticket for the couple. Okay. We are looking at this website online. They're like these weird like murals like on the walls in the playrooms and stuff. The playrooms, that's where you have sex. Okay, just so you know.
Oh
just
my god.
The mom. Okay. We're like, all right. And it's empty in the photos, right? Because like it's a private club. You can't show photos. I'm like, will there be anybody there? We go, packed. It is packed. Okay. Hundreds
is it dark?
of people.
Like, is it dim?
It looks like a nightclub.
Okay.
It looks like a nightclub. It is dark. Everybody is incredibly friendly. Like, I don't know what the Canadian equivalent is, but here in the US, the customer service at Chick-fil-A is like beyond good. I don't know what it is in Canada, but it's like you walk in and everybody is in such a good mood. Well, because they're probably going to get laid or at least like see some good sex. All right. There are mattresses all around, like in certain areas that are like play pit type areas where people can just have sex in front of everyone. There are like sex swings. There was this very weird room with a medical table and stirrups, like an OBGYN. And I was like, that is not the room I will be going into. Okay. But like everybody's got their thing, right? And then there are all these private rooms in the back where there's a door that closes and there's a window. And you can decide if you want the curtain open or closed.
Oh, okay.
The first few times we went, we were just there. It's BYOB because it's a private club and you actually have to bring your own liquor. It's fine. Brought a bottle of wine. They put a number on it. I don't know what it is. If it's number like 85 or something, that means we were like the 85th couple to check in that night. Like, and everybody's still there, right? So it's getting busier and busier and busier. We start dancing, glass of wine, walking around. Then something happens. It's like the witching hour or something where all of a sudden the clothes start coming off on the dance floor, right? Maybe like this couple and this couple who like came together or who just, you know, are hanging out, the women start kissing. And then maybe one of the men joins in and then like they swap. And like, so then now the women are kissing like the other partner and everybody's like grinding and dancing. Oh, and then whoops, maybe somebody's down on their knees giving a blowjob on the dance floor. Like, it is incredibly sexy. It's incredibly hot. I went to a book club discussion once and they said, you know, it's not hot like Eyes Wide Shut, is it? Like that Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman movie that was not sexy. It's a million times hotter than that. So the first few times that we did that, we just took in the atmosphere and then went into a private room and had like incredible sex with the curtain open because I realized really quickly, oh yeah, I'm an exhibitionist. I would love for this curtain to be open and people to walk by and like having great sex with my husband. And I look at the little window on the wall and I see like faces kind of go by like in the dark, right? There's a dimmer switch on the lights. You get to decide like your, you know, the atmosphere you'd like. I would say a third of the people at clubs are just there for that. They're just there to have the atmosphere, the turn on, and then to be intimate with their own partner, either in one of those private rooms or like the newbie people would just come, be there for a couple hours, then just drive home and have really great sex. The last third of people are actually there to interact with others, whether it is like kissing, dancing, touching, like out in the public areas, or going to a private room together. And then
is there any way to identify who is into like actually hooking up with other people versus
just by talking?
Not? Oh, okay.
Just by talking. And it is a sort of like, hi, how are you? I love your dress. Are you guys here to hook up with other people or just do your own thing?
Oh, so it's just like very common thing to say.
It is. You probably would say like 2 other sentences or 3 before that. It's not like, hey, you want to get it on? No. People come and they just chat and it's a very like easy come, easy go type situation. Mostly people are just coming to say hello and to welcome you and just to get to know you. Consent is key. So there's no pressure. If you're just like, hey, we're going to go grab a drink and like, we'll talk to you guys later. That's like enough of a signal. Okay. Yeah. They don't want to like get naked with us tonight. It's very, very easy, especially as new people to come in and be like, we're new here, you know, and people are like, okay, great. We had a great time. And then later in the night, they'll be like, did you guys have fun? It's so, everybody there is so delighted that they are doing something purely for pleasure as adults. It's like, it seems so frivolous. It seems almost, when you're there, it's like you're at Disneyland or it's Christmas morning. You're like, oh my God, like all of these people who love sex showing us they love it, like right in front of us in some cases. And then I get to be here with my partner, and like us getting turned on and like being attracted to each other and having incredible sex is like the name of the game, like the purpose of this.
Did you ever recognize anybody there?
I did. I recognized a man who owns a diner that we used to go to. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, he's the blank diner guy. And Manny was like, I think he is. And then we went to that diner at some point, like months later. I was like, I knew it. It's definitely him. Here's the thing. I was not nervous about seeing people I knew. I wasn't even nervous about running into skating parents or anything, because I was coaching skating full time at this time. Because the thing is, if you see them there, they're there too.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, oh, hi, I guess we got a shared secret now. You know?
Yeah.
It's like you just, because there's just this understanding, and there are no phones allowed in the building, nothing. Like there's just this understanding that there's going to be respect, and that there's going to be no pressure, that people are welcoming. Everybody there is like, sex is a great thing, don't you know?
Did you always go to the same one, or are there like multiple? Were there some that weren't very good? Like,
we went to different ones. They were all great.
Oh.
Except the one we tried to go to in Allentown, which was like this pop-up one. It was awful. Okay. Mostly they are good. If they are established clubs, they are good and they're packed. We went to one in Atlantic City. We went to another one in Philly. We went to an invite-only party in New York City where we had to send in headshots and a relationship bio to get on the guest list. And it looked like a casting call for The Bachelor. Like everybody was so gorgeous. And it was the most diverse crowd we'd ever seen. So it was like the United Nations of hotness.
Yeah.
And it was just this huge loft, Manhattan loft. And so there was like an orgy just going on at the end of the room. Just all night.
Crazy.
No walls. It was like...
Did you ever see a celebrity or like a well-known public figure?
No, I didn't. I think
Okay.
they probably have. I think they probably just like rent out a penthouse and just invite the people they want. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
They probably just host for themselves and their F buddies. You know what I mean? Like they're not having to come to another one. And the places that we went were, I think like the most expensive one was like maybe $200 a night. I'm sure that there are places where, you know, it's upwards of 1,000 or 2,000. I just haven't been to those. Maybe I need to go to them for research for my next book.
Fancy. What was your husband's reaction?
He loved it so much because he loved seeing me get turned on. And as soon as we would get there, like after my first time, I realized, oh, this is how I like to do this. I would whisper in his ear, all sexy like, and I'd be like, take off my dress. And then he would pull my dress off over my head, and I would just be in my lingerie. And I would just dance in my underwear until we ended up going to have sex. And watching me just dance, and I'm just like uninhibited. He was like, oh my God, she's like a fucking goddess. And then we would have great sex. We would have our hands all over each other. This is what I want to tell people. This is maybe the most dangerous part. Please drive safely. We would have our hands all over each other in the car on the way home. And then we would get out of the car and he would like push me up against the garage and like my dress would be up. We'd be like, right. And our kids are sleeping out, so they're not home. And then like a trail of clothing to the bedroom. And then like, I mean, it was like a movie. Like, and we'd been together 15 years. So I don't need to tell your audience, like that didn't happen like on the regular, you know, like, oh, it's Tuesday, just like ravage me.
Prior to going to the clubs, like, I'm just curious, was there like a lack of intimacy in the marriage prior to that?
There was never a lack of intimacy in our marriage because I love sex and I'm a very good coach. So every sexual interaction I've had basically has been outstanding because I'm like, do this, do that, faster, slower, up, down, yes, jackpot. So from the very beginning, my husband's like, wow, I'm great in bed. We're so good together. I was like, you're right.
You're like, no, I'm the coach.
I'm like, but here's the thing. When you're a good coach, really what you're doing is inspiring great performance out of somebody. And then you're like, you hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
You did. You did.
This is
Look at
all you.
All you. Good work. Again next time? Are you getting tomorrow? Same time? Okay. So that was always easy for us. Part of what I had internalized growing up was like self-sufficiency. Don't be high maintenance emotionally. Don't be high maintenance in any way. Be like the easy girl to get along with. Be the person who doesn't like make a stink about anything. So I would ask for exactly what I wanted in the bedroom. Outside the bedroom, I would sort of get whatever he offered. Because like I had this like fracture between like, knowing exactly what I want and knowing it's okay to ask for it in the bedroom and outside the bedroom. And some people have this flipped, right? Or some people are like, I really want to know how to give myself permission for what I know I want and then act on it. So in our relationship, anything that was like a bit of a conflict, we had really efficiently swept it under the rug over and over and over. And I think we must have like had the rug expanded at times. But we both present as really positive people because we're optimistic people. And we were having good sex a couple times a week. So we were like, we are doing so great. Mm-hmm. And anytime doubts would come up in me on like, I wish he was more affectionate. I wish we would talk. I wish we would, because like the only affection I would get would be in the bedroom. I wish. And I was like, I really wish I wasn't such a whiny, baby, needy person, right? And I would just push that down like, I wish I didn't feel like I needed so much. What happened when we got into the lifestyle was it was like Pandora's box of like needs and desires. And for me, what rose up was, I want a man to tell me I'm pretty. I want a man to tell me I'm funny. I want people to I want to know that I'm being seen. And that was the biggest thing that we did not have in our marriage, right? We had swept things under the rug so completely. And we had like a gag order on anything that could sort of be a conflict. Like we'd been together 15 years and we'd never had a fight. And we were proud of it. Like it made us both like really easy to get along with people. But what it made us was actually like masters of avoidance. And I realized, I really want to be heard by you. I want to be seen by you. I have all these things that I'm really feeling like I need. And I'm not really interested in shaming myself for needing these things and pushing them back down again. I'm actually going to give them a little sunlight and a little water and go, wait a minute. That's a big need. And there's another one here. And that was really overwhelming because I thought, oh my God, like there's no way Manny, my husband, can give these things to me. Like we have a track record now of 15 years where it's like, no go, right? Great with the kids. We're great at hosting parties together, all of the things like beautiful Christmas cards. We really had, I'm sure your listeners can relate to this.
Yeah.
This lovely looking, enviable life. And my realization that, I actually feel miserable in this marriage and in this life if I'm actually looking at these needs that I'm unable to silence or unwilling to silence anymore. That was really uncomfortable. Because I was like, shit, I'm either going to have to now accept I'm not going to get these things from my husband, or I need to divorce him. And that has its own set of sadness and disappointment in it, right? So my ego and my achieving nature was very resistant to take an L on the marriage, Yeah. It's like, it takes a big step to say, you know what, I'm going to make this choice that other people may not understand, that like 50% of the people who know me definitely will not understand and will not support me in. And that's terrifying because I really love having people around me go, oh, that's such a good thing you're doing, Ashleigh. That's such a good thing. Good job. Oh, good. Oh, you always do such interesting things. You're so helpful. Oh. That was going to be really hard. So I went through a period where we had cut out any of the swing lifestyle activities. And I was sitting with my sadness and my feelings for the first time, really alone, because my husband was like not willing to go there with me at all. And I had to just look at them and go, okay, well, am I willing to desert myself and what I know I need now? And I no longer think it's like unsavory or immature or childish to like want to feel loved. Mm-hmm. Like I thought that was something like for whiny little kids. Oh yeah, they want attention. No, it's actually human. It's actually human. It's not immature. It's not unsavory. It's actually my human parts that I had been pushing down so hard. And I mean, I grew up in a sport where my ability to ignore what my body and my mind were telling me every day was my meter stick for success, right? Every day. I was like, how well could I ignore my muscles telling me stop? Mm-hmm. How can I outsmart my mind into doing 17 more reps instead of like calling it a day? And when we have conditioning that seems to protect us or serve us well in a certain area, quite often we establish these patterns with authority figures, parents, siblings, you know, whatever we need to do to feel okay in the household that we grow up in. We just from 0 to age 7, just imprint that as like, this is the way the world works and this is how I need to act in it. Like, this is how I need to perform in it. And it's really brilliant and it's protective in so many ways. But then our job, I think as moms, our job as adults, like, you know, when you hit your 30s and is to take a look at all of those things we do on autopilot and say, wait a minute, would I do this if I could choose now?
Yeah.
Right? And really recalibrating your behavior, recalibrating your actions, recalibrating your thoughts, really, really retraining yourself in a way that is uplifting and supportive to you. Instead of shaming yourself in the same ways you always do. Instead of thinking, oh yeah, but my body's not this, or my teeth, or my voice, my this, my that, I didn't get straight A's. We all have our list of reasons why we don't feel good enough, right? And when we are strengthening those, even in subconscious ways, especially in subconscious ways, we are not shining as our brightest selves. We are not really growing into who we were meant to be in a way that helps us connect genuinely to the people we love.
So how did you make changes, like from feeling that and not like you said, you were at a crossroads. It's like, okay, I'm either not going to have my needs met or I'm going to get a divorce. So how did you get out of that? Did you guys ever seek out like traditional therapy, or how did you change that?
So I started going to therapy on my own, and I have a non-traditional therapist. She's an energy practitioner, or energy medicine practitioner. So we talk, and then whatever is like bothering me that day, like top of mind, you know? And then even if it's a few different things, and she'll be like, okay, whoa, okay, common thread here is this. Do you see this? And I'm like, you're magic. She's like a wizard. And then we'll do some sort of energetic clearing, like whether it's tapping, like there are all of these different modalities that she has that are similar to like EDMR and EFT and like all of these different sort of reprogramming techniques that we have. I mean, we even do it on our own by like going for a walk when we are stressed, right? That bilateral movement, feet on the ground, that like regular cadence, that can just help to recalibrate your energy. So started seeing my therapist, Jackie. She's in the book, and her name's really Jackie. A bunch of my audience members see her now too, like via Zoom. She's really amazing. And what I realized in that and through my meditation, I'd had a meditation practice for like a decade before this, right? And so I kept showing up for that. And it was really a struggle for me to meditate when I was so fucking sad because I was like, help, please. And it was just like silence. And then I started getting sick physically, like including 2 different kinds of cancer. Like my body was like, you can't keep doing this the way that you've always done it. And it felt really lonely because none of my friends knew what had gone on in the swing lifestyle. I was like very, very isolated at that point. and still showing up every day to coach my athletes. And in meditation one day, I asked, like, what do I need to do to feel happy? Like, what do I need to do to feel like myself? And I heard, you need someone who loves you better. And I thought I knew it. It's that jackass down there, that jackass who's not loving me. He's not loving me well enough. Mm-hmm. But I felt so helpless because I was like, I know I can't change his behavior, right? I don't, and especially from such a wobbly, unhappy place. And I kept hearing this in meditation for months, and it was so annoying. And I would still show up the same time the next day for like, sort of like, okay, thanks for nothing, source, like, And then one day I heard, you need someone who loves you better, and it's you. And I thought, okay, I can do this. Just give me the fucking assignment and I will work so hard at it. I started writing myself love letters that day. Love letters from myself, love letters from my husband, love letters from my kids, just saying the things to myself that I wish they would say to me, or that I wish my kids knew. Like, hey, mommy, I know when you yelled at me at breakfast, it didn't have anything to do with my cereal. It was because of that work email you opened in the kitchen. And I just don't think you should open work emails in the kitchen anymore. Okay, that would be easier, right? Love, Luke. Okay, just the things that I would want. And I want your audience to know this wasn't self-gaslighting. What this was, okay, what kind of love, what kind of nurturance can I just give to myself that doesn't require me facing this resistance of asking someone else to give me more, because that just brought on just a shame spiral anytime I would ask for something, right? Because this self-sufficiency was just so ingrained in me and so tight. So I would just give it to myself. It was a recalibration of what I needed, a recalibration of the love I deserved, a recalibration of the care that humans should just get on a regular basis. It doesn't cost us anything to be kind to someone else, yet the way that we interact with our families and our spouses is quite often ruder than the way you would talk to a stranger.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have so much pent up resentment, and usually self-hatred is really what is like the springboard for our irritation at anybody who's close to us. And I just started it was like taking that self-hatred, which was like a really, really tight ball, right? And going, all right, we're just going to try to like pull this apart a little bit. Ooh, look, there's actually like a gem about yourself here. Okay, we're going to put that on the shelf. All right, just this process privately, so alone, I just started doing this. And within weeks, the way I was able to interact with my kids, it happened first with my kids that like my rage stopped coming out sideways at them, right? Because I was like, the positive, exemplary role model leader to hundreds of young women every year, right? Even the public face of the organization, like on social media and at competitions and all of that. I was always like my brightest self, but that darkness is there. It just is. It's just there. And I would just hope that it would like disintegrate, but instead it would just like come out like a dragon, breathing fire over here. So my relationship with my kids changed first. And then I got to a point where I was like, oh my God, I love these little buggers so much. I think that me leaving this marriage would be actually such a gift to them, because I am learning to love them as I learn to love myself, which is incredible, because I'm just going to say it. I wanted kids. I had 3 of them. I home birthed. I wanted to be a mom, but loving my kids the way I wanted to love them was so hard for me. I would be so quick to anger. I would be so quick to judgment. I would be so quick to lashing out at them if they weren't independent enough. And I was like, oh, well, I know where this came from.
Yeah.
Like I thought myself, anything that was childish when I was a child made me unlovable. So now if they're acting up, I'm like, why are they doing that to me? I'm like, oh, I was never doing that to my parents, and they're not doing anything to me. They are being human, like as a 7-year-old would be a human, right? And it started just clicking. It was like, the puzzle pieces, like shifting around. I was like, oh, I am seeing this in a different way now. And I can't stay in this marriage and pretend to these kids like this is the gold standard of what we want for you. So then I went to Manny and I said, listen, I think maybe we've gone as far as we can here. Like we are so good at many things. Like we make great financial decisions. We're great co-parents. We have great sex. Yes. But I don't want our kids thinking that the way we talk to each other, or basically like don't, that is what they should aspire to in a committed partnership when they're adults. I don't think this is it. I think it would be such a gift to them for us to say, mommy and daddy couldn't figure this out, but we hope that maybe someday you will. And that doesn't mean you need to be perfect, but like, we want you to have curiosity around like, oh, looking at other adult relationships and being like, I like how they talk to each other, this, that, you know, even if I never found someone else, I would want them to know like, yeah, that's because I'm holding out for like a really great relationship. This is what it looks like in my mind. And when I said that to Manny, I was really like, wow, maybe my next spiritual expansion comes from like, you know, getting a divorce and being like, yeah, everybody couldn't figure it out. Failure, epic fail. We could, all right, but here we go. We're trying plan B. And I was actually a little excited, terrified. But I thought, wow, I am really feeling into what if I do the thing that helps me like truly feel good, like the real me, like the real me, not just what my ego would feel more comfortable about. And then my ego would like throw a bit of a fit and then like calm down and be like, okay, whatever. I'll make a stink next time. And then, right, like it would calm down a bit. So I delivered this to Manny, and then I turned around to leave the kitchen because I was like, whew, okay, like, is he going to get an apartment? Am I? Okay, whoa. I'm sort of excited. And he bursts into tears. And I look at him, I'm like, what is happening? Right? We've been married. We had 2 weddings, actually, one in the US, one in Canada. We've had 3 kids. I've never seen this man cry. I'm like, what's with the waterworks? What's happening here? Right? And he's like, you and the boys are all I've ever wanted. Like, that's all I want. And I was like, that's not really true. Like, you don't need to just say that. He's like, no. I don't know about this. I thought, okay, maybe this will last like 2 days. Cause that was usually how long things would last, when I would like cry and be like, I really want you to like kiss me when you come home and when you leave. And I want you to ask me at least one question about my day. But 2 days went by and he was really in this different dynamic, and then 2 weeks and then 2 months. And I was like, oh, well, this isn't so bad. Like, now I'm having hot, because we never stopped really having sex at all during any of these times, because that's the only way I knew I could get connection. But now I'm like, oh, we're having great sex and we're like having conversation at the dinner table. Wait, one of the kids ignored me and he said, hey, answer your mother. I was like, oh my God, this is kind of good. Like, wow, we're starting to even out. And it just kept getting better and better. And it took me a while to figure out, to actually believe that it was going to stick. Well, no, I would say still, there's a part of me that is nervous that it's going to slide back. So anytime the bar goes down, I go, pause. Wait a minute. We're not doing this anymore. Remember? That's like old. We don't do this. We show each other more respect. We have conversations. We do this in front of the kids. We don't just, nothing is going under the rugs, like rug free zone. Like, no. I think what happened in that moment though, is his fear of being vulnerable, that at some point, like just probably around the same age when I was like, oh, my fear of having any needs, put that away, lock that up. His fear of showing emotion and, you know, asking himself even, wait, how do I feel about that? It got locked up really tight a long time ago. But then his fear of being vulnerable became smaller than his fear of not having his family in the shape that he envisioned. Like his fear of like, oh my God, we're going to have to alternate Christmases. Like his heart was breaking. And I was like, it's so interesting because like you don't actually show that you have a heart on a regular basis. Nice guy. But if someone goes, I feel like this, he would be like, okay, all right. Could I change your oil for you? Like he would just, avoidance. And I think a lot of men and women do that. And I don't think it's because we're unfeeling, heartless Grinch creatures. I think it's because we develop coping mechanisms brilliantly when we're little kids, because we just want the world to make sense. And we just want to feel safe. And knowing when we're not safe and how to adjust our behavior to feel safer, that feels safe for us. So we just like little computers, you know, they say kids are like sponges. I think even more, they're like computers, like just like file this here, 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 here. And then that's just our autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
That is our autopilot that we can go on forever.
It's very common, especially for men, because of how society treats, you know, boys versus girls, and they don't really get the chance to develop tools to be emotional and share emotions and be vulnerable, and then you're an adult now in a romantic relationship, and that's what happens.
This is the thing that's been happening since I made that first How to Keep Monogamy Hot video. I was doing that. I was signed with a literary agent, and I found that process really underwhelming, probably because I had recruited for a sport no one knew existed for 15 years. And I was like, oh, no, this is how you sell something. This is how you tell them about it. This is this. Because what I had to do when a parent walked into the rink with like their 7-year-old daughter, right? And they have other kids, they have other options for what they want to do for activities for their child, right? I had to create a feeling there that like, oh, no, there's something here that you can't get anywhere else. Like the way your child's going to be taken care of, the way that I am going to go, no, I see the best in you. And every day I'm going to see the best in you. And here's how I'm going to show you that. Parents were like, take my money, even though they like were like, what did I even sign up for? I don't know, but I want that coach with my kid. I want her, whatever she's having, I want her to give some of that to my daughter, right? Because what I would do is just like shine a mirror, like these are the incredible things I see in your kid. And they were like, oh my God, you see the things I see and more. Whoa, yes, please, shepherd my child. So when a literary agent was pitching my book, I was like, do you even understand what's in it for them? Do you understand what's in it for the publisher? Do you understand really? Broke up with my agent, posted this first video because I was like, all right, I don't know what I'm going to do here, how I'm going to get this book published. My audience had been growing really slowly for like 4 years. I've been trying to get my writing out. By like 500 people a year, I was growing on Instagram. So I had about 2,000 followers. After I posted that video, my following grew by 55,000 people in 45 days.
Holy.
Through Instagram and TikTok. Because my 11-year-old's like, oh, Mom, you should put this on TikTok. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. And he was like, I'll show you. So Luke is my manager. And now I pay him $25 a week to mail shit. Anyway,
I love it.
You should probably get a bigger cut. So what happened was all of a sudden, all these people are flooding into my DMs. All these videos are getting shared, never on stories, never, just one-to-one, people sending it to their partner, to their spouse. And because I fostered cooperation with teenagers for so long, I have this way of like just disarming people. Like if you watch one of my videos, I could be talking about a vibrator. It totally seems like I'm talking about the weather or like a cupcake recipe. They're like, oh, okay, this is cool. Yeah, she's into that. Oh, I think I could do that. And there's also this element of it that like, there are a lot of people who are trying to look sexy online. I talk about sex, but like, I'm not trying to look sexy online, right? Like
Same.
I wear makeup, but you know, you got it. So if a husband shares this with his wife, she's not going to be like, who's this hoochie mama you're following? They'll be like, oh, she also said you should do the dishes and the kids should clean the house. Yeah. Right? So men and women both are like, oh, let's do what Ashleigh said, right? 90% of my DMs now are from men. 90% who see my content and they're like, oh my God, now I understand that thing my wife's been telling me forever that I just couldn't understand, because we all are just running our own program. So when people come at us with information that's different than what we assume, does not compute. It does not compute. Even if your partner of 15 years has been telling you all the time, they're not speaking in the same language as you, right? And because I can look at a group of 20 or 40 or 60 athletes and go, wait a minute, I have 10 seconds to tell these kids what I want them to do in a way where they remember we're on the same team, understand, so remember we're on the same team, so they're willing to try it. They have a clear instruction. So it's likely that the majority of them are going to be able to implement that right when I finish the sentence. I have this way of communicating, right, that was practiced through that I can deliver something in a 30-second reel and people get it.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, we could totally try that. Oh yeah, no big deal, right? And they show it to their partner and they're like, we could do that. So that's what happens. Usually I'll post a video and then someone will like it, and then they'll like 20 more videos of mine, and then they'll follow me, and then someone with the same last name will follow me right after. Right?
You're like, oh, coincidence.
I'm like, okay, all right. You know, Jill and Greg from Cleveland are just getting off on my content tonight. And by getting off, it's like getting into new conversations, right? And all of my DMs are about feelings. Men have so many feelings. But here's the thing. I am talking about sex, and that is a good entry point for so many men to say, yes, that's something I care about. Okay? That's something I care about. That's something that helps me feel better. Like, if you think about you and your partner, for a lot of male-female relationships, talking about sex is or sports or money are like sometimes the only places where men are allowed to feel something, right? I think that's why so many men are so into sports, because they get to be passionate in that, right? Okay, so what if we were passionate about growth in our marriage? What if we were passionate about feeling like we're really on the same team? What if we were passionate about, instead of compromising, saying, oh no, every situation we're in, not only am I going to get what I want, you're going to get what you want, or better every single time, right? Because we come at relationships in marriage differently than we come at any other relationship, where it's like, oh no, we bring our ideas to the table and then we achieve more, right? In sport, in business, we bring our ideas to the table in marriage, and then we say, oh yeah, and I'm going to get less than what I want 50% of the time because that's fair. No, that's stupid. You would never win a championship in sport, and you would never make any money in business. So why do we say that is great marriage? Oh, give and take, no, let's just imagine that the reason you got married, because I think this is why most people get married, is you saw something in that person that made you think, wow, I think life is going to be more fun. And I think I may be a better version of myself if I partner up with this person forever. That's really what we agreed to, right?
Yeah.
If I partner up with this person forever and then we get married and it's like, yeah, is it my turn to compromise, or is it their turn to compromise? Boom, 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 boom. And then it's like, why do we feel so defeated? Why are we so tired as parents? Why? Well, because we're just stunting each other and ourselves. And for so many couples, my books, my videos that are like, hey, try this in the bedroom, it is this little catalyst. It's like this magic elixir where they say, all right, let's have a sexy Saturday afternoon. Okay, let's send the kids to the grandparents. Okay. Oh my God, just sex for the afternoon. And they go into that bedroom and they accomplish things as a team that they have not experienced in a long time. And they go, oh shit, we are good together. Okay, let's come out. And then just like, I'm going to let my dog, can you hear my dog whining at the door? I can. Yeah. And I texted Manny to deal with the dog. Isn't he inside? Manny's not here. He's at the high school picking up our oldest child. Just a sec. I'm going to let him in. He just wants to lay here on the rug.
That's okay. It's not the first dog that's been here. Hello. Yeah, I put both my dogs in the basement when I record.
I was like, I want him to stop, and I hope it's not too loud. And also, like, I knew it was too loud, but okay. Next time, I will just... Cosmo that's whining okay. At the door. We have to let him in the room when we're having sex too, or else he just whines at the door.
One of those dogs.
Yeah, but he just like, he'll turn away and just lay on his bed. Okay.
That's good.
So many couples are having this experience of, all right, they haven't felt true teamwork and like mutual satisfaction. And not only did I get what I wanted, but I got even more. And you got more than you wanted too, like more than you expected. And they're like, this is like some witchcraft. Like, this is amazing. When we work as a team, it's even better than each of us expected. This is bonkers. And then they're like, okay, let's just do everything Ashleigh says. Or they start saying to each other, they come out of that bedroom and they're like, that was incredible. And then if one says to the other, oh, could you unload the dishwasher? They're like, happily, yes, right? And it's just this like, the resistance is dropped just a little bit. The ego's dropped. The autopilot conditioning is dropped a little bit because you just had this like little natural high together. Like, and self-pleasure can be incredible. But when there's another person and there are different configurations and all these things going on and you're witnessing their pleasure while you're feeling yours, I mean, it doesn't really get better than that. So thousands of monogamous couples, and we're monogamous because I'm the world's worst attempt at swinger, right? Like,
hey, actually, at least you tried.
I really gave it the old college try. I mean, yeah, perfectionist fails at her first thing for real, like really fail. Anyway, thousands of monogamous couples have read Swing together. So the real taboo is how I felt being miserable inside a lovely looking life. And so many people can relate to that. Men and women, they're like, I just thought it would be like more fun or more joy or easier than this, right?
And I think people assume like because they check all the boxes and, you know, the outward appearance is perfect, they're like, why do I still feel miserable? It must be a me problem.
Oh, it must be a me problem, right, Renee?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Instead of being like, well, obviously I have some needs that are not being met, and looking into that and asking for more and making changes. Like, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And so many of us feel shame when we have to ask someone to help us meet a need, right? But think about how you feel when you open the door for someone, right? And their hands are full and they're like, oh my God, thank you, right?
Yeah.
I always do this if women are with strollers, or men too. If a parent has a stroller, I am like, are there any doors they're going in? And I'm like the Flash. I get to that door and I open it because that was the hardest. When I had like a toddler and a stroller, it's like, more hands, please. Go gadget arm. Like I can't do this. But you feel so good giving to someone just to give. Okay. And this good nature dynamic is something that usually does not last after the dating phase. Okay. To just really, really, really be generous with the people around us and with the person we love. Because at some point we give and we don't get back and we're like, not safe. Not safe. I don't like how I feel when I don't get even like a mirror, like an acknowledgement back from like, I did that nice thing. It's not that you want like tit for tat. It's like, you want just like the recognition that you did it. And it's so easy when you're managing a mortgage or rent and car payments and kids' preschool decisions and like, oh my God, health insurance, or what, we don't have an OBGYN, I'm pregnant, I need a dog. When you are managing all these things, and then what we're getting into now are aging parents, like caring for aging parents and making decisions. It is so easy for your partner to offer you kindness and generosity and for you not to acknowledge, and same thing. But when you are on this common mission together to make things a little hotter in the bedroom, right? Have a little bit more fun. And this is the thing, most of my audience, and me too, I'm very vanilla. I mean, I had that sex club like period, but besides that, I'm very vanilla. Like my audience is like, could you give us tips on anal? And I'm like, I'm going to have to bring in an expert because I'm that's above my pay grade. I will bring in an expert. So now I'm doing these after dark workshops.
I love it.
Yeah, we're couples, $25, 90-minute little webinar. I'm zooming in tantric practitioners from Bali, okay, to give you answers. Like our first after dark workshop was oral and manual pleasure for him. So she showed us with this black glass dildo. It was like totally like, it wasn't uncomfortable. She was giving like a weather report. 10 different techniques for manual stimulation. Manny was so excited when I was like, do you like the down, down? Do you like the up, up? Do you like the up and down at the same time? It's like I was baking a cake, patty cake, roll it and mix it.
Is this recorded? Is this something that if people want to go see? Okay,
you can still
get the replay.
and 7 different kinds of oral stimulation, including, she said, and this is why I bring in experts, right? She goes, I love to just slap the cock on my face. And I was like, okay, just a minute. And so I was still on the webinar part here, right? I was like, hey, just pause. I don't know about you guys, but that just made me really nervous. But I think I might try it. And then I just talked them through. I was like, I think that I've done it on my tongue before. He's done it on my tongue, or I have, and he thinks that's super hot. So next time we do this, feel a little nervous, I'm going to slap the cock on my face. And she said too, she's like, I will call it the penis or the cock or the lingam, which means wand of light in Sanskrit. And I was like, look at you, fellas.
Lingam?
Lightsabers here, the lingam. Yeah. And she was like, I love to worship the cock. And I was like, amazing. I'm so glad we have you here with us tonight.
Oh my God.
And then it's a 45-minute guided pleasure practice. So everybody's on webinar, right? And so she's the only one showing her camera. And she is guiding, like, okay, have your partner lay on his stomach and now grab the body oil. You're going to massage him. And you're going to whisper in his ear, like, something you love about him. And then this and that. And okay, now he's going to flip over. You guys are going to have eye contact. You're going to kiss. And then you're going to go down and you're going to try on the testicles, on the scrotum, some of those techniques we just tried. And partners, tell her if you don't like it. And she's just like guiding you through. And people's minds were blown. They were like, oh my, all the feedback that I've got already from this workshop. It's just so delightful and absurd. It's like the Peloton of adult sex ed. Like, oh, what would I love to learn? Oh, it's private. Oh, it's inexpensive. People just need the permission to be vulnerable and receive and try new things. And when you can like soften that up in the bedroom, then, okay, you feel a little more courageous to like, ask for that thing you need at work, right? Because like, maybe you're not going to get it the first time you ask, but you were just like, wait, I really asked for some things or tried things or let myself be vulnerable in ways that like I normally wouldn't have let myself in the bedroom. And so then the expansion and the open-mindedness outside the bedroom is it's blowing people away. Mm-hmm. And where can we go for sexual resources as a couple? Besides like pornography or like the church group relationship workshops where like the men all go to a retreat and the women all, no, together, thank you, together. Not many people, me included, are probably going to go to a tantric ashram in India for like, a sex pilgrimage. But I would love to, talk to a tantric practitioner and like, learn from her in like bite-sized pieces on a Monday night.
Yeah. I love this. I'm going to link that. Send me the exact link to that thing and I'm going to post it in the episode notes because I'm sure there's people that are like, oh my God, I need the link.
Right? And then we're doing, so it's After Dark, ashleighrenard.com/afterdark, but I'll share it with you as well. And then we have the next one that's coming up is Oral and Manual for Her. And I did it in that order purposefully. The biggest struggle for my audience overall, like I don't want to, it's a generalization, but the biggest struggle overall is women feeling comfortable receiving, women feeling comfortable relaxing, women feeling comfortable prioritizing their pleasure, women saying, yeah, not everything needs to be perfect in my life for me to relax and have fun and have an orgasm and feel like a fucking queen, right? Because for so many of us, they're like, there are 1,000 things that need to be done before I can feel good. Okay, well, then you're going to feel bad till you die. Just want you to know, because you're never going to get all those things crossed off your list. You're going to invent new ones. And let's just look at your list because you probably invented 95% of those. Yeah. Right? And just recalibrating, reprioritizing pleasure. Like, I think this is like, when we're talking about self-care, there's nothing more frivolous than a female orgasm. Like, we don't even need one to procreate, right? Like, there could be never another female orgasm like on this earth, and we would still be okay. We wouldn't be very happy, but we would still exist, right? Like, orgasms are like more frivolous than like hygiene or bathing, right? But then we say like, oh, a bubble bath is great self-care. No, a climax. Yeah. A climax. I would like to say that, like, let's do it, right?
I love it. Okay, we are out of time. This was such a great, I love all your stories. I feel like I'll have to have you back and we can talk about how to keep monogamy hot specifically and go through everything.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay. So where can people find you online? And also where can people find your book? I'm sure people are going to want to read it.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm there every day in my stories. Please send me a DM if you heard me on Renee's podcast and tell me. I would love to say hi. There in my link in bio, there are links to my book Swing, which has also been optioned for film. It's going to be a streaming series, hopefully on Netflix, but TBD on which. And so scripted series, actors, actresses, the whole deal. And you can get my book Swing. You can get Keeping It Hot, the workbook, which is a super fun book. You can open it to like any page. The exercises are fun for you to do on your own or with your partner. And I'm hosting couples retreats. The first one is going to be in Banff at the beginning of December. And then we're having a beach retreat. We're taking over a whole hotel in Tulum, Mexico in April. So all of these things, in addition to the after dark workshops where you don't have to get a plane ticket, you just need to log on your laptop. Just all these things for couples to just have more fun with each other. After swearing off fun and becoming such a serious kid from such a young age, I am like making up for lost time. So I want couples and families to prioritize joy every day and see what happens. Because I got to tell you, the sky is not going to fall. It's going to be like the opposite of that.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to check out these retreats. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee. This is great.